So you've heard many people before tell you, well, if it feels good, then eat it. Or eat whatever feels good. Now with that train of thought and logic, then people could justify their consumption of pretty much anything. For example, I like to eat pizza, chicken wings, soda, ice cream, potato chips, and spice drops. Because it feels good. But just because it feels good doesn't make it good. And it doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it healthy. You see the kind of thinking that is rampant throughout our world? It's real scary, and people say things like that, and then people will take those things that they learn from others, and then they'll use that to justify their consumption of pretty much anything. Because if people are taught, well, it's okay as long as it feels good, then there is no absolute standard or direction that we can go back on to really determine, well, what is true and what is not true. You know, what is the really best thing for us? And that's what we have to get back to. We have to understand where we came from. Okay, as I believe we came from, you know, the beginning. God created us. What our original diet was, and that's a good standard then to know exactly what humans were first eating and how we've kind of progressed throughout history. So, you know, don't be careful of the kind of information that you get out there, because it's just terrible. I'll just put it that way. It's just terrible. So, don't just eat anything because it feels good. And don't just do anything because it feels good. A lot of people have done horrific crimes against humanity because they said it felt good. You don't just go by your feelings or what feels good. There's an absolute standard for what is true and what is not, and that is the Word of God. And I'll be bold enough to stand up in front of this video camera and put it out there for millions of people to watch. The Word of God is my standard for what is true and what is not. There is absolute right and there's absolute wrongs. And I'm telling you now that if people believed in this relative morality, then it doesn't really matter what, you know, God says. It only matters what you think. And you now determine what is right and wrong. So if once somebody thinks it's okay to, you know, do horrific crimes against humanity, then they would be justified in doing so, according to that type of philosophy, which is very dangerous. That's how dictators have rose up. And also that is how we actually don't progress with that type of philosophy. We actually digress. Instead of people understanding what is true, they use that type of thinking, and it keeps them from moving forward. And so it keeps them trapped in their justifying of whatever they want to eat, whatever they want to do, you know. And that's how society doesn't push forward. That's why things don't get better in the world, because there is no standard for them for what is right and what is wrong. So hopefully I've shed some light on that. So just be careful, you know, whenever you hear a natural health teacher say, just eat whatever feels good, whatever's right.